Alright, so picture this. My wife, after years of a seemingly perfect marriage, comes to me, not asking for a divorce, but for an open marriage.
Why?
Because she'd fallen for our package delivery guy. What happened next wasn't just messy, it was a terrifying descent into a living nightmare. My name is Alex, I'm 29, and I thought I had it all figured out with Maria, 28. We'd been together for 6 years, married for 4. We met at a community event, built this solid life, a house in the suburbs, 2 paid-off cars, even planning kids next year. Our families adored us. My parents loved Maria. Hers treated me like a son. Relationship goals. Her sister Jessica called us. My brother, Mark, said he hoped to find what we had. We were, by all accounts, the perfect couple. For 3 years, the same UPS guy, Tyler, 26, delivered to Maria's office. She'd mention him casually. "Oh, Tyler was so friendly today," or "big shipment from Tyler." I never thought twice about it. But about 6 months ago, his name started popping up more. She'd tell me about their conversations. He'd asked about her weekend, complimented her new haircut. She started timing her lunch breaks to catch him. 15 minutes of chat, every time he delivered. Then one day in March, Maria came home, looking different. She just sat on the couch, staring at the wall. After dinner, I asked what was wrong. She said Tyler had asked her a personal question. He told her he was attracted to her and wanted to know if she felt the same. She said she told him she was married, couldn't answer. But then she looked at me, her eyes clouded, and said she needed to be honest. She did find Tyler attractive. She enjoyed talking to him. She swore she'd never acted on it, never would cheat, but the attraction was there. "Does that make me a terrible wife?" she asked, almost pleading. I, naive and trusting, told her attraction to others was normal. I trusted her completely. I thought that was the end of it. But for the next few weeks, Maria became distant. Staring out the window during dinner. Glued to her phone. Going to bed early, claiming tiredness. 2 months later, Saturday morning over coffee, she casually asked, "What do you think about open marriages?" She'd been reading articles, she said, about couples who saw other people but stayed married. Could it ever work? I was blindsided. I told her it sounded like a disaster. If you want to sleep with others, just get divorced. She nodded, changed the subject. The next week, she brought it up again, this time more direct. She'd been thinking about Tyler. She loved me, wanted to stay married, but she wondered what it would be like with him. I asked her point blank, were her feelings for Tyler more than just physical attraction? She admitted it. She thought about him daily, looked forward to his deliveries more than anything else at work. She'd never felt this way about anyone since we got together. That weekend was agony. Maria gave me space, letting me process. Sunday evening, I finally asked, "Have you already crossed any lines?" She swore they hadn't touched, texted, or met outside work. But then she admitted it. She had told Tyler she found him attractive after he asked her that first time. My heart sank. That felt like emotional cheating, I told her. She got defensive. We were just being honest. Honesty isn't cheating. We argued for hours. She slept in the guest room. The next morning, before work, Maria apologized. She saw how her relationship with Tyler had crossed boundaries. She promised to limit interactions to business. Our marriage was more important. I thought we were past it. For 3 weeks, things seemed normal. She stopped mentioning Tyler, seemed more present. We even had a good weekend with my parents. I actually started to relax. Then, one evening in May, lying in bed after we'd been intimate, Maria dropped another bombshell. She couldn't stop thinking about Tyler. Limiting their conversations had only made her want him more. She felt like she was living a lie. She brought up the open marriage again. This time, she was specific. She wanted permission to explore her connection with Tyler, physically. It would just be physical, she promised. It wouldn't threaten our emotional bond. It would make her appreciate our marriage even more. I was silent for a long, long time. Part of me was deeply hurt that she couldn't let this go. But another, foolish part, wondered if our marriage was strong enough. She seemed so torn up. I started to think maybe letting her get it out of her system was the only way to save us. After a week of agonizing, I told her I'd consider it. Under certain conditions. Clear rules, complete honesty. She agreed immediately, relieved. We spent 2 weeks establishing ground rules. Announce encounters beforehand, no graphic details afterward, protection mandatory, and either of us could end it for any reason. Maria tried to add 2 more. Keep it a secret from family and friends, and a promise we'd stay married no matter what. I refused both. I wouldn't commit to keeping secrets if it became relevant. And I couldn't promise to stay married. I didn't know how I'd feel. She was disappointed, but agreed to the original 4. Looking back, I should have seen why she needed those extra protections. She was worried about the same things I was. But I was trying to be fair. A month passed. Maria didn't act on it. I started hoping she'd decide against it entirely. Then Tyler, during a delivery, asked why she seemed different. Maria said she missed their conversations. That afternoon, she texted me. She wanted to invite Tyler for drinks, explain the situation, see if he was interested. I texted back, "Do whatever you feel is right." That evening, she told me she'd met him. Explained our open marriage. He was surprised but interested. They made plans for his apartment the following Thursday. Thursday morning, I left for work early. Couldn't bear to see her getting ready. Phone on silent during meetings. Around 3 p.m., she texted, asking if I was okay. I replied, "Fine. See you at home." At 4:30, as anxiety gnawed at me, she texted, "I love you." Home by 7 p.m. as planned. I never posted an update back then because I truly hoped things would just get better. They didn't. That Thursday evening, Maria came home, went straight to the shower. She'd prepared dinner earlier, left it with a note. "I want to cook for you. Wine, candles." But I wasn't there. I couldn't be. I went to a sports bar, turned off my phone, watched a basketball game until midnight. When I got home, she was asleep. The plate of food waited. The next morning, she tried to talk. The experience with Tyler was okay, but not amazing. It made her realize how much better things were with me. She wanted to end the open marriage. Too late for that. I told her, my voice flat. She got what she wanted. Now it was my turn. I deserved the same opportunity. I was going to find someone. And she couldn't object. We'd agreed. She got quiet. Asked if I had someone in mind. "No," I said, "but I will." Was I doing it to hurt her, or because I genuinely wanted someone else? "It doesn't matter what my motivation is," I said. We made an agreement. That weekend, I downloaded dating apps. Created profiles. Made it clear. Married, looking for casual. Maria watched me from the couch, silent. Within days, I matched with Sarah, 25, a nurse. Also looking for casual, no strings. We texted for a week, met for coffee. Attractive, easy to talk to. We planned to meet at her apartment the following weekend. When I told Maria about Sarah, she asked to talk. She'd made a mistake with Tyler, regretted it. She wanted to close our marriage, go back to how things were. "I'll do anything," she said, "to fix what I broke." "I'm going through with Sarah," I told her. "You open this door. I'm not letting you slam it shut just because you don't like what's on the other side. If you could explore your attraction, I can explore my options." She didn't argue. But she started acting differently. She'd leave the room when I texted Sarah. Went to bed earlier. Stopped initiating conversations. When we talked, her answers were short, distracted. The day I was supposed to meet Sarah, Maria left the house early. Didn't come back until late. Said she was with Jessica. When I returned from Sarah's apartment around 10 p.m., Maria was in bed, lights off. The next morning, she asked how it went with Sarah. "Fine," I said. "I plan to see her again." Maria nodded. "I understand." But over the next week, she started asking more questions. When was I seeing Sarah? How long would I be out? Was I developing feelings? I reminded her. Basic information, not an interrogation. Her questions felt like she was trying to control my experience in a way she hadn't allowed me to control hers. She said she was just trying to understand what was happening in our marriage. 3 weeks after my first meeting with Sarah, I noticed Maria coming home later from work. She claimed she was picking up extra hours. But when I called her office, her colleague said Maria had left at her normal time. That evening, I confronted her. She broke down, admitted she'd been meeting Tyler again. After I started seeing Sarah, she realized she didn't want the open marriage to end. If I was seeing other people, she wanted the same freedom. Why lie? I asked. She was afraid I'd be angry, since she'd been the one to want to close it. She didn't want me to think she was hypocritical. But the bigger issue? She was meeting Tyler without telling me beforehand, violating our first rule, lying about where she was, violating our honesty agreement. I pointed it out. She claimed those rules didn't apply anymore since I was seeing someone. That's not how agreements work, I said. I had followed all our rules with Sarah. Her breaking them proved she couldn't be trusted. Maria apologized, promised to follow the rules. She'd tell me about Tyler, and she wanted to know about Sarah. But something had fundamentally changed. Our conversations felt forced. We were both tracking each other's outside activities, competitively, not supportively. Dinners were spent on phones. Weekends were separate plans. By the end of the month, we were just roommates, who occasionally slept together. Not a married couple. The open marriage continued for another 6 weeks. Then everything fell apart. In late July, Jessica called me. Maria seemed different, she said. Everything okay? I said we were working through some issues. Jessica mentioned Maria said I was working late, distant at family gatherings. Was something wrong at work? I reassured her. But Jessica's call hit me. Our situation was affecting our families. We declined invitations, canceled dinners, hadn't hosted game night. Then my brother, Mark, showed up unexpectedly. Maria was at Tyler's. I was getting ready for Sarah. Mark noticed we were sleeping in separate bedrooms. We'd started that because of our different schedules. But to Mark, it looked like we were falling apart. I told him we were having a rough patch. He offered help, hoped we'd work it out. After he left, I sat in our empty house, wondering if we were making a terrible mistake. That evening, Maria returned. Asked if she'd told anyone about the open marriage. She'd been tempted to tell Jessica, but decided against it. I told her about Mark's visit, how uncomfortable it was to explain. Maria admitted lying to her family was exhausting. She missed sharing her life. We decided, end the open marriage. Focus on rebuilding us. I told Sarah I wouldn't be seeing her. Maria told Tyler. We deleted the apps. For the first week, things improved. Cooking dinner together, movies, talking about work. Plans to visit my parents, host Jessica. Then Tyler showed up at Maria's office on an unscheduled day. He missed her, wanted her to reconsider. She told him no. 2 days later, Tyler came to our house. I answered. He asked for Maria. I told him she wasn't available. Asked him to leave. He said he knew Maria didn't really want to end things, that I was forcing her. I told him he was mistaken. We both decided to end it. He didn't believe me. He'd keep coming back until he heard it from her. When I told Maria, she promised to call him, make it crystal clear. But the next day, Tyler called Maria at work. Asked her to meet for coffee. Maria agreed, wanting to end it definitively. She came home that afternoon shaken. Tyler hadn't taken the news well. He accused her of leading him on, wasting his time. Made comments about our marriage, claimed I was controlling her. Said she was making a mistake. 3 days later, Tyler called me at work. He wanted to talk man to man. Maria, he claimed, wanted to keep seeing him, but I was preventing her. If I loved Maria, I'd want her to be happy. I told him he was wrong. He needed to stop contacting us. He didn't believe me. He'd keep trying to talk to Maria until she told him herself. That evening, I pressed Maria. What exactly had she said at coffee? She admitted she'd told Tyler our marriage was her priority. But when I pushed, she confessed she'd also said ending things was difficult. She'd enjoyed their time. Had she given him reason to think she wanted to continue? Maria conceded she might have been too nice, not wanting to hurt his feelings. Tyler might have misunderstood her kindness as a sign she was being forced to end the relationship. The following week, Tyler started showing up at Maria's office during her lunch breaks, even on non-delivery days. Maria's coworkers started asking questions. Her boss asked if there was a problem with UPS. Maria felt trapped. She couldn't tell her boss the truth without revealing our open marriage. Couldn't ignore Tyler because it was affecting her work. She considered working from home. Everything came to a head in September. Tyler's behavior escalated. He'd been showing up almost daily for 3 weeks. Maria's boss finally called UPS. Tyler was reassigned, but that only made things worse. Without his job giving him access to her building, he started waiting for her in the parking garage. Maria would text me when she left, but several times she arrived home much later. Tyler had cornered her, insisted on long conversations. One evening, Maria came home visibly shaken. Tyler had followed her car from work, parked outside our house. When she got out, he approached her in our driveway, asked to come inside, talk to both of us. He believed if he could talk to me, he could convince me that Maria really wanted him. He was convinced I was an abusive husband, controlling Maria. I looked out our window. Tyler was sitting in his car across the street. I called the non-emergency line. The officer told him to leave. But he didn't stop. The next week, he started calling Maria's office phone multiple times a day. Her boss told her, "Resolve this or find another job." Maria finally told her boss the truth. Her boss was understanding but couldn't have personal problems affecting the workplace indefinitely. Meanwhile, Tyler started calling our home phone. I stopped answering unrecognized numbers. But he left long voicemails, explaining why we should divorce, so Maria could be with him. Some were angry, some pleading. All made it clear he wasn't accepting Maria had ended it. In early October, Tyler showed up at my workplace, asked the receptionist to see me. Something important about a mutual friend. When I saw him in the lobby, I told him to leave immediately. He wouldn't. Said he wasn't going anywhere until I admitted I was forcing Maria to stay away from him. That was the final straw. I told my boss. He recommended a lawyer. The lawyer said we had enough documentation for a restraining order. Voicemails, workplace visits, following Maria home, a clear pattern of harassment. We filed in November. Tyler was served. Ordered to stay away from us, our home, our workplaces, no contact whatsoever. But the damage to our marriage was done. Months of Tyler's harassment had put enormous stress on us. Maria blamed herself. I blamed myself for agreeing. We stopped talking about anything but Tyler. We didn't have dinner together. No weekend plans, never knowing if Tyler would show up. By December, we were strangers sharing a house. No fights, but no connection. Sitting in silence, going to bed at different times. New Year's Eve, Maria went to her sister's. I stayed home. We couldn't pretend everything was normal. That night I knew. Our marriage was over. The open marriage experiment had destroyed the trust, the intimacy. Even with Tyler out of the picture, we couldn't find our way back. Maria and I separated in January. She moved in with Jessica. We told our families we were taking time apart, but we both knew. Divorce. We filed in March. It was straightforward. Agreed on assets, no fighting. Sold the house, split the proceeds. Divided everything without drama. Divorce finalized in June. Maria got her own apartment, a new job. I moved to a smaller place. We have no contact now. Looking back, we were so naive. We thought we could control the emotions, the complications. We thought rules would protect our primary relationship while we explored attractions. But some doors can't be closed once they've been opened. Bringing other people into our marriage changed us in ways we never anticipated. And some mistakes can't be undone, even if both people want to fix them. Neither of us has remarried. I've been on a few dates, nothing serious. I don't know if I'm ready to trust someone with my heart again. The restraining order against Tyler is still in effect. He's followed it, as far as I know. But it taught me how quickly someone you barely know can become a major threat. I don't blame Maria for being attracted to Tyler, or for wanting to explore it. I blame both of us for thinking we could handle an open marriage without destroying what we already had. What do you guys think? Were we just too naive? Or is an open marriage always a recipe for disaster? I'm genuinely curious to hear your thoughts. Story 2. SIL/HR Revenge. Have you ever gotten your dream job, only to discover your spouse's bitter sister works in HR there, and her sole mission is to get you fired?
And why?
Because she wanted my husband back with his ex. It sounds like a bad movie plot, but this was my life. My name is narrator's name. I'm 28, and I've been married to Brendan, 32, for 3 years. We met at a corporate party, me, and in turn him, a senior manager. We just clicked. Brendan was everything I'd ever hoped for. Kind, supportive, always pushing me to chase my career goals. We dated for 2 years, then had a small wedding. From the very beginning, his sister, Phoebe, 30, made it crystal clear she disapproved. She'd never miss a chance to remind everyone I was just an intern when we met, implying I was some gold digger after Brendan's money. But the real reason for her hostility? Her absolute obsession with Brendan's ex-girlfriend, Amy, 31. Phoebe and Amy had been inseparable since middle school, and Phoebe was dead set on getting them back together. Brendan and Amy had a long, complicated history. They dated for 6 years, practically high school sweethearts. Everyone in their circle, especially Phoebe, thought they were the perfect couple. Wealthy families, same social background. Even their parents were friends. Amy worked at her dad's company, just like Brendan's family expected him to. Their relationship imploded when Amy got a huge job offer in another city. A massive career jump. She wanted Brendan to move with her. But Brendan was finally on the shortlist for a major promotion at his company. He'd worked 5 years, building his career from scratch. Amy insisted he could find another job. He wasn't willing to give up his career for hers. They tried long distance, but the strain, the different priorities, eventually broke them. Phoebe took Amy's side completely, blamed Brendan for choosing his career over love. In her mind, if he truly loved Amy, he would have sacrificed everything. She spent months telling Brendan he was selfish, that he'd regret letting Amy go. Even after Amy moved away and started dating other people, Phoebe kept trying to accidentally make them meet. Then Brendan started dating me. Phoebe's behavior went from bad to worse. She thought I wasn't good enough. I came from a middle-class family. My dad's a teacher. My mom works part-time at a library. I worked through college to pay for my education. To Phoebe, this was proof I was only interested in Brendan's money. She'd make snide remarks about my clothes, my car, even the neighborhood I grew up in. Every family dinner became an opportunity to compare me to Amy, telling Brendan how much more sophisticated and accomplished Amy was. It was exhausting. Despite Phoebe's venom, I focused on my career. I worked hard, took extra courses, and steadily climbed the ladder. Finally, after years of grinding, I landed my dream job. One of the top tech companies in our city. Better pay, more responsibility, amazing growth opportunities. I was ecstatic. Until I found out Phoebe worked in the HR department of the same company. I hadn't known when I applied. She'd just switched jobs. I was worried but tried to be positive. We were both professionals, right? Surely she'd keep personal issues separate from work. That hope was completely misplaced. Over the next 6 months, strange things started happening at work. Important emails about deadlines would vanish from my inbox. My calendar would mysteriously update with wrong meeting times, making me miss crucial discussions. My team members would get incorrect information about my availability. At first, I thought it was just technical glitches, miscommunications. I started keeping detailed records, double-checking everything. But the problems just kept escalating. The truth came out last week, in the most shocking way possible. I was in the office bathroom during lunch when I heard Phoebe's voice from one of the stalls. Hushed but excited. She was on the phone. With Amy. My heart pounded. Phoebe was bragging about how her plan to get me fired was working perfectly. She detailed how she was using her HR access to tamper with my emails and calendar. She laughed about how stressed I looked, saying it would only get worse. But the most horrifying part? Her next move. She was planning to fabricate a fake harassment complaint against me from a male colleague. Once she loses her job, Phoebe cackled to Amy. She'll have to depend on Brendan financially. Then everyone will see she was just a gold digger all along. I felt sick to my stomach. But I had the presence of mind to pull out my phone and start recording. After I had enough evidence, I went straight to the head of HR, recording and all. I filed a formal complaint against Phoebe, complete with all my documentation of the issues. The company took immediate action. Phoebe was suspended, pending investigation. They started an audit of all her HR system activities. When Brendan found out, he was furious. I'd never seen him truly angry with his sister before. He'd always tried to maintain peace, making excuses for her. But this crossed every line. She hadn't just tried to destroy my career, she'd abused her position, violated company policies. Since then, Phoebe has been bombarding us. Calls, messages, switching between sobbing and threatening. Saying I was ruining her career, destroying their family. She told Brendan he needed to choose, his sister or his gold-digger wife. She even tried to convince him I'd set her up, recorded her illegally. Brendan's parents got involved. His mother thinks I went too far. We should have handled it within the family. Family should always come first, she said. I was vindictive. His father seemed to understand our side better, but he wouldn't openly take sides, always trying to keep the peace. I don't think I did anything wrong. Phoebe was actively trying to get me fired from my dream job, a job I'd earned with years of hard work. She was willing to create false harassment claims that could have permanently damaged my career. She abused her HR position, violating countless policies. I had to protect myself. Brendan fully supports my decision, but this whole situation has ripped his family apart. Everyone's taking sides, and family gatherings are unbelievably tense. 2 weeks later, the company's investigation finished. And the findings? Far worse than anyone could have imagined. Phoebe wasn't just fired. The company is considering legal action against her for multiple violations of privacy and data protection laws. Her tampering went far beyond my schedule and emails. She'd been accessing confidential employee records, modifying performance reports, even trying to get salary information for other employees. But the most disturbing discovery, she'd been helping Amy get information about Brendan through company databases. Looking up records of any female employees who interacted with him, trying to find evidence of inappropriate behavior she could use against him. Then came the biggest shock. Amy had moved back to our city 6 months ago. She wasn't just a distant voice on the phone. She had been actively involved in this whole scheme. She'd taken a job at a competing firm, feeding Phoebe ideas on how to sabotage my career. Their elaborate plan wasn't just to get me fired, but to utterly destroy my professional reputation. Their endgame? To make me look like a gold digger who couldn't hold a job, hoping Brendan would finally see me for what they believed I was. Amy's return wasn't a coincidence. Phoebe had helped her find an apartment just 10 minutes from Brendan's office. They'd been orchestrating casual run-ins at coffee shops, restaurants. Amy even joined Brendan's gym, though he hadn't noticed because she deliberately went when Phoebe knew I'd be in meetings. Brendan is utterly devastated. He'd always defended Phoebe, always believed she'd come around. He told me she was just overprotective. He'd maintained contact with Amy over the years, in group settings, thinking their breakup was amicable. Finding out his sister and his ex had been conspiring against his marriage? It shook him to his core. He cut off all contact with both of them. His parents' reaction? It made everything worse. Instead of acknowledging Phoebe's wrongdoing, they minimized it. His mother called me manipulative for recording the bathroom conversation. I should have confronted Phoebe directly, she said. She kept insisting Phoebe was just trying to protect her brother, suggesting Phoebe saw something in me that made her suspicious. The most hurtful part was when she implied that if I had nothing to hide, I wouldn't have reacted so strongly to Phoebe's investigation of my background. Brendan finally lost his patience last weekend at a family dinner. His mother had promised to keep things civil, but it turned into an ambush. Phoebe was there, crying, playing the victim, talking about how she'd lost her career because of me. When Brendan's mother started suggesting we should all forgive and forget, Brendan exploded. He told them if they couldn't respect his wife and his marriage, they should stay out of our lives entirely. He reminded them how they'd always criticized his relationship with Amy for being too dependent on her family's approval, but now they were doing the exact same thing to him with Phoebe. I felt vindicated by the investigation, absolutely. But watching Brendan's family fall apart, seeing his pain, it's heartbreaking. Some of his childhood friends, who were also friends with Amy, started taking Phoebe's side, spreading rumors that I seduced Brendan away from Amy, then deliberately destroyed Phoebe's career because I was jealous. Some even suggested I planted evidence during the investigation. Phoebe, of course, was playing the victim card masterfully, claiming I orchestrated everything to isolate Brendan, illegally recorded her, manipulated evidence, painting herself as a concerned sister. And tragically, some people are buying it. This whole situation created such a deep rift. Family events became impossibly awkward. Several relatives stopped talking to us completely. His cousin's wedding? They quietly uninvited us. Even Brendan's father, who seemed to understand us, started suggesting we handled things differently. Brendan and I stayed strong together, but it was brutal. He couldn't sleep, started seeing a counselor. Watching him lose his family over this? It's the hardest thing I've ever had to witness. A month later, the situation got even more complicated. What we thought was the end of Phoebe's sabotage. It was just the beginning. Our company's IT department discovered something horrifying. About 2 weeks before she was fired, Phoebe had created a fake email account using my name and company credentials. She'd been using it to send inappropriate and suggestive messages to several male colleagues, including senior managers. The messages contained personal information about these men, accessed through HR records, making them seem incredibly credible. IT only discovered this because one recipient finally reported the messages after receiving a particularly inappropriate email that was automatically sent through a delayed delivery setting. They traced the IP address, Phoebe's work computer. They found dozens of drafted messages scheduled to be sent over the next few months. Some contained explicit content that would have absolutely gotten me fired, possibly even blacklisted from the industry. This was Phoebe's backup plan, in case her other attempts failed. The company's legal team is now considering pressing charges against Phoebe for identity theft, harassment, and misuse of confidential information. They also had to reach out to all the male employees who received these emails, explaining the situation, reassuring them I wasn't involved. Most were understanding, but the whole thing has been incredibly embarrassing for me. I catch people whispering. Some male colleagues actively avoid being alone with me. My manager is understanding, but suggested a fresh start somewhere else might be better for my career growth. Brendan is absolutely livid. He says he doesn't even recognize his sister. The Phoebe he grew up with would never do something so malicious. He's been going through old family photos, remembering how close they were. This betrayal runs so deep for him. He finally told his parents about the fake email account, thinking this would make them understand. Instead, his mother suggested Phoebe did it because she found something suspicious in my background during her HR investigation. She actually tried to convince Brendan to look into my past relationships. But the real shock came yesterday. Amy showed up at our house, unannounced, waiting in her car. As soon as I pulled into the driveway, she got out. I immediately called Brendan, who works from home most days now, and he came outside. Amy claimed she wanted to apologize, explain that things got out of hand. According to her, Phoebe had convinced her Brendan was deeply unhappy in our marriage and looking for a way out. Phoebe had told her Brendan still had feelings for her, but felt trapped with me because of what people would say. When Brendan refused to even speak to her, just asked her to leave, Amy completely lost it. She started screaming in our driveway how I had stolen her life, that she and Brendan had planned their whole future, the house, the kids, even dog names. She claimed Brendan had promised they'd get back together once she was settled in her new city, and that I had taken advantage of their temporary separation to trap him into marriage. The most disturbing part was when she started threatening to expose Brendan's past mistakes if he didn't hear her out. Something about an incident from college that could damage his professional reputation. She pulled out her phone, threatened to call his company's board of directors right then and there. We had to call the police to remove her. They took her away, but not before she screamed, "This isn't over." We're now looking into restraining orders against both Phoebe and Amy. Brendan's parents tried to intervene again, saying we were overreacting. Amy was just emotional because she never got closure. They suggested Brendan meet with Amy, with them present, to talk things through. Brendan finally blocked his parents' numbers after that. The whole situation has created such a toxic environment at work. I love my job, but I'm considering looking elsewhere. People are mostly supportive, but the whispers never stop. Some colleagues actively avoid working with me. My manager, understanding, suggested a fresh start might be better for my career. 3 months later, and we've made some major life changes. Brendan and I decided to make a fresh start in a different city. I got an excellent job offer on the West Coast, and Brendan's company agreed to let him transfer. It wasn't easy, but we knew it was essential for our mental health, for our marriage. Before we left, Brendan's parents made one final attempt at reconciliation. Invited us to dinner. Against our better judgment, we went. Phoebe was there, and their aunt supposedly mediating. It was clearly a setup, but we stayed. Phoebe tried to apologize, but it wasn't genuine. Passive-aggressive comments about families sticking together, how I'd turned her brother against her. She talked about losing everything, her job, reputation, relationship with Brendan, carefully avoiding any mention of her own actions that led to it. When Brendan brought up the fake email account, the harassment, she actually tried to justify it. She was just trying to prove what kind of person I really was. The breaking point. Phoebe suggested we could all move past this if I would just admit I'd overreacted to her concerns and apologized for getting her fired. She even had the audacity to say she'd help me find a new job if I'd just retract my complaints. That's when Brendan finally lost it. He told her she was the one who destroyed their relationship. That until she truly understood what she did wrong and showed genuine remorse, he wanted no relationship with her. We've been in the new city for a month. It's been incredibly positive. My new job is challenging, rewarding, and the team is welcoming. Brendan seems more relaxed than he's been in months. We can finally focus on our future. Brendan still gets weekly messages from his parents about forgiving Phoebe. He deletes them without reading. They've tried guilt-tripping him with childhood photos, saying Phoebe's depressed. He's standing firm. His father recently tried to reach out separately, admitting Phoebe's actions were wrong, but still pushing for reconciliation because she's family. We heard through mutual friends that Amy got engaged to someone else, moved back to her old city. Apparently, she's telling people she's glad things worked out this way because she's with someone who truly appreciates her. Phoebe is still unemployed, living with her parents. She occasionally tries to contact Brendan through fake social media accounts, but we block them immediately. Sometimes I do feel guilty, especially when I think about how close Brendan used to be with his sister. But then I remember, I didn't start any of this. I just defended myself against someone actively trying to destroy my career and my marriage. Brendan constantly reminds me none of this is my fault, and we made the right decision. The company's legal case against Phoebe is still ongoing, but we've decided not to follow it closely. Our lawyer will handle communications. We're choosing to build our new life instead of dwelling on the past. We're finally starting to feel like ourselves again. Have you ever had to choose between protecting yourself and preserving family peace? How far would you go to defend your career and your marriage? Let me know in the comments below.